Turning green. Bitcoin sees a week of gains helped by a number of positive external catalysts. Could 90k be in sight? Bull market over? Despite a good week for prices, many now believe that a new crypto bear market is beginning. Are they correct, or is the next leg higher just a matter of time? All change in DC. Crypto's regulatory landscape in the US is shifting at pace and could help usher in Trump's promised golden age. Here's what you need to know about. And a look at the top performing cryptos from last week, dates for your diary, coins to watch, tweets of the week, and much more besides. This is the Coin Bureau News, live.
GM one and all, and welcome back. It's that time of the week again, of course, the Coin Bureau weekly news live stream. My name, of course, is Nick. Guy, how you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, man. You look a bit different today. There's something different about Guy, guys.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
I wonder what it could be.
Yeah, maybe they should guess in the comments something that's different about Guy today.
Something shocking.
That you have not seen at all ever before. I don't think ever on camera.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a first. It's a first today. So guess what it might be? No, I haven't put on more weight. Okay, so just strike that from your minds. We don't need comments about that.
He's already anticipating the comments. It's like, I need to preface immediately that there's nothing to do with weight here.
Absolutely. It's not a weight-based thing. Anyway, good to see you all. Thank you for joining us on this. Well, at the moment, it's a Green Monday.
It's Green Monday, of course, and no shockers over the weekend. Just above 87,367. So yeah,
things are looking up.
Things are looking up. So let's, of course, start off the analysis with what's looking up. Of course, Bitcoin's price and what happened to Bitcoin over the week. Firstly, just on the top of the stream, Michael Saylor indeed did come out, and he has announced another Bitcoin purchase, 584 million. So he's now got over 500,000 Bitcoin has been acquired by Michael Saylor over at Strategy. Absolutely insane.
Passing that 500k BTC mark. Congratulations, Saylor and Co.
Yes. Well done, sir. Well done, sir.
That is a huge purchase. Yeah. That is a huge one. And it's all the more extraordinary when you roll back to last week.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was a bad sign if ever I saw one. I almost think that this was actually worse than Saylor not buying.
Exactly. It's kind of like, so basically, let's roll back to last week. Monday, Saylor announced he'd purchased $10 million worth of Bitcoin, or just a mere, 130 BTC. You know, you crunch the numbers here. That's equivalent to someone who's got $10K in BTC, so $10,000 in BTC, to go out and announce on Twitter, guys, I just bought $2.6 BTC, which is exactly what a Bitcoin maxi who has $10,000 in Bitcoin would do.
Wow.
Just stacking sats, guys. $2.6 added to my stack.
Yeah. So he found whatever change was down the back of the sofa and just pumped that into BTC. Yeah. But that was kind of a bit worrying to see that last week.
Worrying.
A mere 130 BTC.
But he's back and he's stacking large. So anyway, speaking of stacking sats, last week, Tuesday, Metaplanet, the so-called Japanese strategy, had also acquired some Bitcoin. And speaking of which, they had an interesting advisor announcement last week, right?
Ah, yes. Yeah, now this guy, a guy called Eric Trump.
Oh, he's a Bitcoin OG, right?
I believe
He's been around for a long time,
I think he's like one of the original cypherpunks.
Yeah, he was already in the forums with Satoshi. He was exchanging emails with him.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, knew Hal pretty well, etc., etc. So he's now an advisor to Metaplanet.
I'm sure it's just because of his Bitcoin credentials, nothing to do with the fact that he's related to, he's the son of Donald Trump, right?
Oh, he's Donald Trump's son, is he?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, really?
Is
that Trump?
Yeah.
How strange.
Yeah. Wow.
There we are. So, Metaplanet knows how the game is played these days. So they've appointed, Eric Trump as an advisor. Now, other positive news. Spot ETFs actually have started seeing inflows again.
Yeah, exactly. Last week, Tuesday, was the best day in 6 weeks, and so that's great to see. Since February, I think. So that's good news on that front. The February the 4th. And then speaking of Saylor, he also came out last week, and the strategy announced this proposed offering of perpetual preferred stock. And this is a bit different in the sense that it's for $500 million, and this is have a fixed 10% annual cash dividend versus the 8% initially offered. Caused a little bit of FUD, which we'll get onto in a bit in terms of, it's just another different type of offering that comes with this cash flow that's needed.
So he's come up with another way to raise money to get his hands on BTC.
There we go.
There we are.
Wednesday was a big day, of course, as we alluded to last week. It was FOMC day, and Bitcoin slowly started to recover throughout the day. And, the blessing of green candles from Jerome Powell over there, sending it higher.
Bitcoin bull.
Sending it higher. What happened on that FOMC? Well, to be honest, it was pretty much standard. No massive changes, no changes in rates. No. QT slowed, which is the one everyone was watching. QT slowed from 25 billion to 5 billion, so it's going to end eventually. There were some worries about the economy as well, and potentially a slowdown in inflation. When it comes to QT, it's important to note that QT is not officially ending in April because there's still the mortgage-backed securities that they want to roll off of their balance sheet. So minor technicality, just to be that guy on crypto Twitter. Well, actually, it's not. Actually not, but it is going to be positive for risk assets when QT does end.
So they're tapering QT.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to end eventually. Well, QT is going to end eventually, and then it's obviously rates, and then only then later on is QE even a question, but it's not right now. Dotplot also said that we're probably going to see 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. It was slightly more hawkish than the previous summary of economic projections because in this case, more Fed governors expected us to hold steady. So that's why some said it was slightly hawkish, but the markets took it very good. Come Thursday, and Trump was speaking at the Digital Asset Summit in New York City. Now, it slowly grounded up higher towards the speech, and then on the speech, it just dumped. I mean, it's a bit crazy because the speculation there was just nonsense. People thought, oh, okay, well, they're going to accumulate more Bitcoin. No, they're not. That's not going to happen. No, this has been known. And then also this idea of no capital gains tax on crypto.
I think there's this thing now, there's this anticipation of Trump saying something about crypto, and then he opens his mouth and he starts talking, and everyone is reminded of the fact that he's just saying the same things, and he doesn't seem to be like all that engaged with it. And his administration is doing great things. We shouldn't take away from that. But I think people are kind of expecting him to sort of say something of more substance. And it just is always the same platitudes.
You're telling me it's not this statement is not of substance. Quote, we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower.
Yeah, because you don't need details on that. So, that tells you everything you need to know because it's so straightforward how you would do that.
Yeah.
I've got it. Yeah, we have to dial down. It's a very sarcastic stream today. So like I say, I think people get excited about it, but then he doesn't. He talks a lot but doesn't say anything.
Yeah. That's his,
he's a politician.
He's a politician, yeah. Anyways, Friday, nothing really happened. No big surprises either, thankfully. So we could enjoy a weekend without massive
I'm
carnage.
really glad we've got over that meta of like weekend meltdown carnage.
Thankfully, although he did come out and shill Trump.
Oh yeah, he started pumping.
Pump. But anyways, looking over the week, basically, so the end of last week, it was basically ended flat in terms of price. There was actually an interesting research report published by Glassnode from some on-chain indicators called quote liquidity crush. Good and bad stats I've pulled. So for example, 2 not so good metrics here. We basically have the hot supply. This is basically the wealth that's held within coins aged 1 week or less, and it's basically considered a proxy for coins available and ready to transact. And this has seen a 50% contraction in liquid circulating coins over the past 2 months. So that's one thing. And then also we've seen a slowdown in coins going to exchanges. It declined by over 54% since the peak. So that's another indication that potentially there's less demand, right? Ready demand to buy coins and also transact.
Okay.
Not all bad though. Not all bad,
all
because short-term holder losses are nothing like they were in previous cycles. Short-term holders are still having losses in terms of showing capitulation, even in this period at 7 billion, but it's nowhere near what it was in previous cycles. So short-term holders are not getting as burned as they were. So they're more hodling.
That's good news.
That's good news. And then speaking about hodling, long-term hodlers aren't sending coins to exchanges as much as they were in previous cycles. So the percentage of long-term holders sending coins to exchanges has decreased ever since over the past
So people are hodling. They're transferring to cold storage, and they're riding out the storm.
They're riding out the storm, exactly. And so that's positive. Other positive news, obviously, we talked about the ETF inflows.
Yeah.
We last week had we've had 6 straight days of inflows, which is good.
Is not
So
bad.
it's slowly coming back, trickling back. I mean, it's not going to make it. We've had obviously $1 billion or so prior to that outflows, but it's clawing its way back, slowly but surely.
Yeah, $100 million at a time.
Yeah, slowly.
We'll get there.
So what's coming up this week quickly? Well, obviously, the reason the markets are slightly up today is because of news that potentially these Trump tariffs, which have been touted, the quote Independence Day on April 2nd, potentially some of these tariffs could be dialed, softened, especially some of the non-reciprocal tariffs, which have been mentioned. So the markets are looking at that positively. So it's a macro story again.
Yeah.
We also have PCE numbers coming out on Friday, so we'll get to that, of course, in a bit. And then just looking at a few charts really quickly, zooming out to the weekly, we've had a bullish divergence on the weekly with the RSI indicator as well as previous lows. And this is the first one that we've seen since September last year, so that's a good sign. On the weekly, when you zoom in a bit more on the daily, we've above our 200-day moving average. Closed yesterday above the 200-day moving average, and it's now well above the 200-day moving average. So there's still momentum there.
Okay.
And one more look at the liquidity heat map. This is from the chaps over at Trading Different. This is basically shows that there's quite a bit of liquidity pools at the 87 to 90K range where we're at right now, which means market makers are more than likely to want to get into those liquidity pools to squeeze the shorts.
Okay.
So that's looking good. Now, the question is, how are we going to be able to spot if this is a short-term top? And I happen to know a very good video that can give you a good indication of that. And that is, of course, the one from Mr. Aaron Dishner, aka the Moon in Papa, over on the More Coin Bureau. So it's his first video over on More Coin Bureau.
Yeah.
Aaron's, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been very well received. So I'll refer you guys to go and watch it. It will be linked to below. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the More Coin Bureau, you can do that right in the QR code over here.
There you go.
Behold.
Yeah. So, Aaron, for those of you who watch Coin Bureau Trading, you'll be familiar with him as one of the hosts there, one of the brilliant hosts we have on Coin Bureau Trading. But yes, made it, as Nick says, his first video for More Coin Bureau as well. And believe me, it is worth checking out.
And he's got a video going out on Coin Bureau Trading in about an hour or two about this particular pump that we've seen.
When does he sleep?
I don't know. When
does he rest?
He's on Japan time.
The guy is a machine.
He's on Japan Standard Time. He's always awake.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just going back to this tariffs thing, because obviously this has been the big overhang on the markets recently. It seems like, as you mentioned earlier, there's talk now that maybe the tariffs are going to be dialed back. This is kind of in keeping with Trump's sort of well-known negotiating strategy. I mean, this is what he outlines in The Art of the Deal. You go in with a ludicrously high offer, and you expect to row it back, and you expect people to do deals, etc. But do you think then that crypto in particular, and maybe other markets, have basically priced in absolute trade Armageddon as far as tariffs go? And now that there's a sense that, okay, maybe it won't be trade Armageddon, maybe there will be a deal, that's why we're seeing this pump at the moment.
I don't think it's necessarily priced in trade Armageddon. What I think it is just it's pricing in uncertainty. And there's nothing, if you're uncertain as an investor, be it any sort of risk asset investor, stocks or anything, and you don't know what the lay of the land is in a few months, you're gonna want to go into safe, secure assets like treasuries or your cash, right? When there's some certainty around something formulating, right, then you can kind of like, okay, now I feel a bit more comfortable. It's all about certainty. It's the unknowns, right, which causes investors to sell out of risk assets. So,
okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, I think in general, that's a reasonably positive outlook. I don't think we should get too carried away. I don't think we should get too excited, but certainly we are heading in the right direction currently.
And how's sentiment looking in that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Nick. I was looking earlier. Now, let's see what people are saying in the comments. John Braddle has the right idea. He says, gone to the beach for a beer. See you in an hour. That was before the stream. So, John, I hope you're back with us. William was pointing out we are in the green. Absolutely.
Money green. There we go.
Pazzi says, let's go.
There you go.
Armin, meanwhile, is Nick is back in shorts. Good sign that a bull market is back. Guy keeps gaining more weight. Not a good sign. Thank you, Armin. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your input there. and a comment about Nick's shorts that I can't possibly share. So that is sentiment. I think is generally pretty good. Certainly up on previous weeks. I think.
Yeah. Then these shorts aren't that tight. What? They're kind of like loose. What the hell? You know. Okay.
Look, you're not in the room with him. You're not in the room with him. That's all I can say. Okay. And of course, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons as well. While you're at it, you can even ring the notification bell if that's the way you choose to live your life. It's all very much appreciated. Okay. Now, let's talk about one of the big talking points from the last week. Is the bull market over? Have we entered bear territory again?
Yeah, I mean, this is all kicked off by a tweet by the CEO of CryptoQuant. And essentially, he came out very strongly and said, bull cycle is over, expecting 6 to 12 months of bearish or sideways price action. Yeah. And obviously, it's ambitious and ballsy of him to come up with a call like that, especially with so much uncertainty as it relates to the macro conditions, right? Yeah. And he's basing it purely on a lot of the on-chain analysis. And he basically, for one, in terms of CryptoQuant's proprietary bear market indicator, they said it's flashing at its lowest level in 2 years. He also cited low liquidity and is expecting 6 to 12 months of bearish action. Of course, he's also pointed to the ETF inflows, like you see there. It's been flowing out.
We've obviously been tracking those over the past few weeks.
Regularly,
and, as we said earlier, they were not good up till the last week or so.
Speaking of ETF inflows, is also interesting because people who are using especially on-chain data and on-chain analysis, looking at prior cycles and trying to formulate an opinion of where we are in this cycle, it may be warped because if you think about it, ETFs, they're not on-chain flows. So new investors these days, whereas you had retail come in previously, new investors these days, they'll buy ETF shares. ETF shares don't show up on chain because they are a paper asset that's it's held by BlackRock, right? Or BlackRock's custodians and Coinbase custody. So as a result, it's difficult to make a conclusive analysis right now. Although they did publish a report and they said if Bitcoin's price fails to hold the current support level between 75K and 78K, slightly below the trader's on-chain realized price, the lower band there, its next target could be 63K. So, yikes. Interesting call there.
Okay. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because, this guy, CEO of CryptoQuant, this isn't some, vacuous influencer making some dim-witted prediction. This guy's a clever guy. He's got access to a lot of data, some of which we've pointed out there. So, I think this is definitely an opinion. Whether you agree with it or not is neither here nor there. But this is definitely an opinion that has to be taken seriously.
Yeah, 100%. And I give him credit for someone having such a strong opinion and being ballsy enough to put it out there, because you do open yourself up to risks. And if your analysis and the fact that he was willing to pivot to a degree, because previously, like a month ago, he wasn't too bullish because of the on-chain factors. But he came out and said, I was previously bullish, but all the indicators are saying I can't be anymore, and I'm willing to admit I was wrong. So that makes it give him well credit when it's due. Coming back to something else that I mentioned earlier, is this Saylor raise that happened last week. There was some FUD around this, potentially the fact that, hey, it's 10% dividends on a $500 million. That's $50 million in cash annually, which is payable solely in cash, and they don't have the cash, which is to a degree true, but I think it's a bit fuddy because of reasons that he can easily sell a little bit of the Bitcoin to pay the cash. He can raise more debt to pay back the cash. He can go and issue more shares. So, but there is the fact that Michael Saylor and strategy is becoming a very big elephant in the room when it comes to Bitcoin holdings. Yeah. And, if that has to be unwound for whatever reason.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned, because I think strategy would be able to raise cash fairly easily. Yeah. I mean, they've certainly been doing so without too much bother recently. I guess the problem is, if they do have a big, dividend to pay, if they do decide, I kind of feel now for them selling BTC is absolutely last resort, because I think so much is resting on, there's an argument that really where would we be without strategy and Saylor's buys over the last few months, so I really feel that psychologically, if strategy were to start selling, even if it was just to cover for them a relatively small dividend payment, I just think that would really nuke the market.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, he could issue more debt. Sorry, that's it. He can issue more debt. He could issue debt against his Bitcoin. I mean, that's another risky thing. So there's many strategies there. Yeah.
I think we've got to. I think we do have to acknowledge. I mean, in Saylor we trust, I guess, but we do have to acknowledge that there is a risk here.
Of course, there's a risk. Yeah, of course.
But
I mean, there are other viewpoints to this, particularly about this bull market question, bear market questions. So here's a few other viewpoints. It's just a normal correction. Analysts believe that, obviously through Bitcoin's long history, these bull market corrections, they go from, sometimes up to 22, up to 40%. We've seen it before. And it's moving now with the broader financial markets. It's just a macro drag that's taking Bitcoin lower. It's not necessarily Bitcoin specific stuff.
And that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because in previous cycles, it has been a crypto specific thing that has kicked off the bear market, and it's been kind of spooky how it's timed so well, but the problems have been of crypto's own making, if you like.
Exactly.
This, as you say, we are dependent on macro.
Yeah, exactly, and liquidity flow specifically. And there's the question now about, would we come back to the Fed, the FOMC, QT, interest rates, and then potentially also global liquidity from other central banks. We'll have to see where that rolls out, and that's why this QT thing was a big thing for risk assets and Bitcoin more specifically. I don't know if you caught this last week as well, that BlackRock's head of digital assets came out and questioned the established narrative of Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah. So he basically came out and said, like, the narrative of it being, it seems most people are now saying Bitcoin's risk on, right? So as a result, it's going to crash when markets are crashing, geopolitics, all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas now he said, well, look, to be honest, we don't know if it's going to be in a massive recession. We don't know how Bitcoin's going to react. It could act as a digital gold,
Yeah.
So that's what he said,
I think it'd be really interesting to see how, if we do get a recession, say, how does Bitcoin perform then? Because I guess you could, you could make the argument, if we go into a recession, obviously that is bad on so many levels. A lot of people lose money and a whole lot worse. But I guess you could then make the call that, okay, we know how governments get out of recession. They print money. So the fiat currencies everywhere will start devaluing. What is your best hedge against that fiat currency devaluation and subsequent inflation? BTC.
That's a fair point.
But we have not had that test yet.
Yeah, we haven't had that, and to that extent, right? So it'll be interesting to see, especially with ETFs and more access to be able to invest in Bitcoin through traditional financial rails. And some really interesting news last week. Kraken, they completed a massive acquisition, right?
Yeah. So this is NinjaTrader. This is a US retail futures trading platform. $1.5 billion. That's just about eclipses the $1.1 billion that Stripe
paid for Bridge.
Yeah. So this is the biggest acquisition. Certainly, this is the biggest crypto/TradFi acquisition.
Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of which, there's been rumors now. Apparently, well, not rumors. There's been in Bloomberg that Coinbase could be in advanced talks to buy Deribit. Now, apparently this deal could be worth at least $3 to $4 billion.
Okay.
Deribit controls 90% of the options market, right? Crypto options market, and that would be the biggest acquisition in crypto. Now, something tells me these companies wouldn't necessarily be looking to do these big acquisitions if they thought we were heading into a bear market. Yeah. So it's another point to which, I think we could still have some juice in this tank, man.
Yeah. Certainly crypto exchanges in general, very well capitalized, sitting on large piles of cash. Obviously they want to, invest that and grow their businesses. But if you talk to any exchange CEO, they will say, maybe they'll say off the record, but a lot of them will say it in, publicly, all of these centralized exchanges are looking to become more than just a place that you can go and trade crypto. They want to become more all-encompassing financial platforms. Obviously, they need regulations to do that, which is why what we're about to talk about in a few minutes is so important. Yeah. But I kind of feel, if the exchanges themselves weren't feeling bullish about the longer-term future of crypto, I think you're right. Would they be making acquisitions like this? Would bigger ones be on the table? Because absolutely, this one that Kraken has made is not the last that we're going to see of this. So Nick, before we move on to the walls of fame and shame, are we entering a bear market, or are we still bull?
No, I think we're still bull.
What do you
think? What do you think?
I think we're still bull, but again, things are so different.
Sorry, I just got a caveat. Bull for Bitcoin.
Bull for Bitcoin.
Altcoins, I don't think the altcoin season is not coming, but there will be opportunities for select alt, which I've talked about many times. But I think bull for Bitcoin still.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So, okay, but let us know in the comments
what
what
do
you
you guys
think. Generally, I was having a quick flick through earlier. People generally seem to be more bullish than bearish.
There we go.
Which is good to see.
Good man.
So good on you guys. Let's now move on to the walls of shame and fame.
Bro, I mean, obviously Legolas makes
course
sense.
you're Legolas.
Of course I'm Legolas. I mean, they call me Legolas anyway, bro.
Oh, I'm delighted to be
Rather
arrogant.
Legolas than Chad from the
Delighted to be
Nickelback.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. A rugby reference as
There we
well
go,
for those who watch
Go
that,
Boca.
that brutal sport. Okay. So we have the walls of fame. I always forget. I see these ridiculous pictures and then forget what I'm actually talking about. Okay. So the walls of shame and fame. Now, first up, we have, I think, the first ever walls of fame and shame switcheroo.
In a week, exactly over a week's time.
Yeah, yeah. So last week's Wall of Famer, we awarded somewhat controversially to the hyperliquid whale. Now, Time, Justice, and ZachXBT have caught up with this fellow. He's basically been exposed as not just a degenerate trader on hyperliquid, but also a sort of full-on fraudster.
Would you have it? Can you imagine that guy is a fucking scammer? I mean, you look a British guy from Sussex, basically scammer, gambler, hacked a lot of casinos, and that's the hyperliquid whale. It's like someone said, I mean, why is it always getting scammed by the ugly guys? It's like,
it appears we get the heroes we deserve.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's this guy. So yes, an illuminating thread from ZachXBT there. So in a no doubt even more controversial move, we are moving him from the wall of fame to the wall of shame.
We've just got another entry quickly for the wall of shame. If you guys want to pull that up.
Another entry for the wall of shame.
Another quick entry for the
what on earth is going on?
Someone almost started a fire today in the office by almost burning toast.
Oh my word!
I was literally about to run down the stairs because I was worried the office was on fire.
Yes.
Do you want to give the story behind this guy?
I did have a kitchen-related mishap. I thought the toaster was turned low. It was turned high. I had some toast in there. It's a crap toaster anyway.
Guy, you use that toaster every single day of the week. How do you not?
Thing I know, choking smoke is filling the office. Fire alarms are going off. It was all.
And the office next door is like wondering what's going on.
Yeah, and apparently the corridor outside the office still sinks the smoke even now, and this was several hours ago. So.
Still smells smoke, bro. Smells.
So there I am, along with the hyperliquid whale and as well as we've got our three Wall of Famers there: Hayden Davis, Sam Bankman-Fried, Kim Jong-un. You could arguably say that I am the worst of the lot.
Yeah.
So apologies to all my colleagues here at Coin Bureau.
It's not fine, guy. It's not fine.
Killing them. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so that is the Wall of Shame, the hyperliquid whale, and me, apparently. The Wall of Fame. Now, this time, we're going to award it to
a whole country. Well done. Yeah. Pakistan. Yeah. So they ramped up crypto-friendly efforts for energy-efficient Bitcoin mining. And this is quite a about turn, at least from a regulatory perspective, because I recall that Pakistan government has been quite anti-crypto hostile, whereas people within Pakistan are very pro-crypto, they're adopting it, trading, OTC. The government has come out with a new proposal. So this is potentially, seeing this groundswell of changes and globally in terms of government levels for crypto. So that's good to see.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, as you say, Pakistan, one of these countries that crypto adoption is very high.
Yeah.
Hostile government attitude to it. It's great to see that changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see other countries. When Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's the big one. That's the big one.
Just if they invite you to come and consult with them on crypto regulatory matters, I wouldn't go physically to Nigeria. I'd rather do a Zoom call.
Yes. Yes, I won't be flying over there to.
Don't want to end up like the Binance chap. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads us kind of nicely on to what else we want to talk about today, which is all the amazing regulatory stuff that is happening in Washington DC and elsewhere, places like Pakistan too. But this is the stuff that needs to happen in order for the bull market, the Bitcoin bull market, to continue. If we want any hope of an alt season, we need more stuff like this. So although this is kind of regulatory stuff and on the face of it may be a bit dry, this is all hugely important. And this is the stuff that I think is going to make 2025, in retrospect, such a big year for the whole industry, because there's so much happening at the moment.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, last week, one of the biggest ones, at least from the SEC, was they finally dropped the appeal, and this ends the Ripple saga, the Ripple case. So obviously now this means that the Ripple can actually sell these XRP again, which is good for Ripple because they can basically fund the business. They actually no longer need to go public because they've got enough XRP to sell potentially. It's obviously clears the path for an XRP ETF. And they still may have to pay that $125 million settlement.
Yes,
and
that I think has been the sort of stumbling block.
That's been a stumbling block, exactly, because basically they were like, well, if all these other cases are being dropped by the SEC, why do we still have to pay? Which is kind of fair, I suppose. But anyways, be that as it may, it's obviously been very bullish for XRP. XRP's price rallied a lot last week, and also adoption of its stablecoin RLUSD is progressing quite well. It's at 160 million in circulation right now. And there's also a growing number of ETH addresses holding RLUSD.
Yeah.
And of course, we've seen some pretty crazy price predictions for XRP as well.
There we are. XRP could hit $10 by 2030 as Ripple wraps up SEC case. I mean, that's one of the more sober ones I've seen.
More sober ones, although making a 5-year prediction on an altcoin. I mean, yes, you may as well be reading the stars, bro.
Well, it's better than one of those ones that says XRP is going to a figure that would make the market cap, the overall market cap of XRP.
More than the entire global asset base in the world or something ridiculous.
More than the GDP of planet Earth over the entirety of human existence. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to see something relatively low at $10. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some absolutely crazy ones on there.
You got to get off TikTok, man. You got to get off TikTok.
I've got to get off TikTok for so many reasons, not least the XRP price predictions. So there we are. So that was great news for XRP, great news for the wider crypto industry. And the SEC is just, the SEC has gone from, one of those things where you have to cross yourself when you say the word, to now they're all good. Now
man,
they're
one of us.
They're
like
just
it's
banging
crazy.
it out.
They're banging exactly. They had this roundtable, this public roundtable last week, which is crazy. And where some of the most important objectives from this roundtable is the most important questions you've been asking of all. It's like the questions around the status of an asset. What is a security? So what makes something a security? Is that status permanent? How does decentralization affect this analysis? And so this is the kind of stuff that we would have loved to have seen earlier on, and it's good to see the SEC making progress there.
Where were these questions 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago? I mean, these are all good questions, and the answers I think will be fascinating and really, really important for the future of the industry. It's just such a shame that it's taken this long and this much. So many lawyers have got paid so much money for us to get to this position now. It just seems such a waste of money and time. But hey, look, we shouldn't look, we shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. Yeah. This is great that these questions are being asked, and this is going to be important going forward.
Yep, indeed. And some other positive news last week, the stablecoin legislation is working its way through Congress. So the Financial Services Committee will review the key stablecoin legislation on April 2nd. There's also the question, this is pretty interesting, something that Scott Bessent, statement he made, Matt Hogan's together. So this is what Bessent said, quote, "We are going to keep the US the dominant reserve currency in the world. And we will use stablecoins to do that." So this is really interesting because there's the potentially making stablecoin issuers the marginal buyers for US treasuries, which would of course meet the ends that the Trump administration is trying to get at when it comes to creating demand for treasuries that brings down yields. So obviously stablecoin issuers need to reserves, and Tether was, I think there was news last week, Tether was the 7th biggest buyer of
sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. More than Canada and Mexico.
Wow.
Mad.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Canada and Mexico have sort of tailed off their treasuries.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've got other reasons too. They're thinking maybe we should diversify away from an asset.
Do we want to hold these? I don't know. So that's great news. And anecdotally, I hear a lot of talk about, if you think there are a lot of stable coins now, just wait. Because again, like once this legislation gets passed, and it won't just unlock potential for stablecoins as well. I think it's going to unlock a whole load of innovation across the industry. So again, this is big news, and watch it carefully. There was more good news. The Tornado Cash smart contract and address has now been removed from OFAC, from the Office of Foreign Assets Control, no longer sanctioned.
There we go. Yeah, so you guys can officially clean your ETH. Don't do that. I'm joking. Do not use Tornado Cash Market.
The Coin Bureau does not endorse.
No, do not endorse, as you know. But yeah, I mean, but the devs are still in jail, right?
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, one of them may be out on bail, but certainly they're still facing legal action.
Yeah.
So although that's great news that, the Tornado Cash is no longer sanctioned, we still need to see those charges against the devs dropped.
Yeah,
otherwise,
more importantly.
otherwise that's not the most important bit. Okay, but back to the SEC, the interim SEC leadership, because of course, Paul Atkins, as we're going to discuss a bit later, should be confirmed fairly soon. But the interim leadership, Hester Peirce and Mark Ueda, saying that crypto startups should be allowed to raise funds by selling NFTs.
Great. I mean, I've just been waiting for that. And that's the most important thing. Like, I've just been thinking to myself all this time, when are they going to allow us to raise funds through NFTs?
When NFT offering?
Although, to be fair, she was referencing Stoner Cats. If you recall, Stoner Cats is that NFT that was Ashton Kutcher.
Yes.
And Amila and them.
Good news for Aston.
Good news for Aston. You can go and issue Stoner Cats, bro, again.
Yeah. Who would have thought that the most bullish news perhaps recently for NFTs would have come again from the SEC?
There you go, man.
We're living in a simulation, folks.
Yeah.
Now, Nick, I know that this is going to make you angry,
please.
but I want to discuss it anyway because I personally feel this is good news.
No.
And this is the news that Canary Capital has filed an application for a Pengu ETF.
I can only assume that the reason that he decided to do this was because a penguin was his favorite animal and the guy was just taking the piss. Like, honestly, I mean, come on. Maybe you looked at the coin market cap. Ooh, a cute penguin. Pengu. Okay. My theory, my issue with this, my take with this is that it's basically like we're going from altcoin dilution to altcoin ETF application dilution and altcoin ETF dilution. Because what's going to happen if you go on launch and it gets no inflows? Not just Pengu. I'm not taking aim at Pengu necessarily, or the Pudgy Penguins collection. I'm just
to reassure
Pengu community.
Don't write in.
I'm not fudding your bags. But there's other altcoins that have got ETF applications as well. Like, and you think to yourself, what's the point? What are you trying to do? And it doesn't even serve its purpose because in this case, it pumped for like 2 hours and then round tripped everything. There's been many other applications that I just can't make sense of. Like, what's going on?
So do you think, is this just a publicity thing? Is this Canary Capital just, because I mean, like, had we heard of Canary Capital before they started filing all these obscure
Canary Capital's like, we just love this PR, guys. It's doing well for other businesses. Go and file the next ETF application, the most obscure shitcoin. Not these guys. I'm just saying most obscure, whatever the shitcoin is, let's go and file a fartcoin ETF.
There was. Was that Canary?
I think
Capital?
that maybe it was. I don't know. We have to check who it was. But whoever did that, bro, like seriously, the last thing you want to do. And the reason I'm is because if you have so much of these ETF applications coming there and they don't do well, then it's going to discourage from any other ETF issuers from wanting to do any sort of altcoin ETF applications, even for the ones that actually do well, that could be demand for. So yeah, and it's going to, and Canary Capital is going to have to pay a lot of fees if it doesn't, go through in terms of like.
I am with you on that. I do feel like the big risk with these altcoin ETFs, although there is the potential for them to attract a whole load of capital and get people really excited, if they flop, then again it kind of reinforces whatever negative sentiment is still floating around. And yeah, I think it feels like a bit of a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
At any rate, I kind of feel. Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of what you say. I also feel in a way it's sort of like it is a sense that there is still some exuberance left. There are still people kind of like, yes, things are going up. It's going to be okay. Let's file for a Pengu ETF. Let's see what happens. Let's explore all these possibilities. So I don't think it's necessarily a complete negative sign. And Nick, like I said earlier, if in a year's time we are referring to the Pengu ETF inflows at the top of the stream, and we're talking billions of dollars, I'm going to make sure that the guys cut this little section here, cut your little rant about altcoin ETFs, and we'll just sort of stick it in the stream.
Or better yet, why don't we take a bet live on stream right now around how much ETF inflows? Guy bets that Guy bets, what are we going to bet?
Okay,
that you're going to have over $1 billion, even touching $1 billion in AUM in the Pengu ETF.
Okay. All right, I bet you 1,000 Pengu.
I don't want Pengu. I don't want your Pengu. Give me something of worth. Don't fucking Pengu. Give me something of worth, bro. And not your ETH either, because I don't want that shit either.
I was hoping to get rid of that. Okay, well, what, should we just do a bet in stables?
A bet in stables, what? Yeah.
Gambling bureau. This is.
There we go.
Okay.
We're not allowed to gamble in Dubai, so we can't. So,
Okay.
okay,
All
we
right.
can't do it.
A gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, gentleman's agreement.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to say? I'm going to say Pengu ETF launches within a month. Within 1 month.
Yeah.
1 calendar month of launch, the Pengu ETF will have attracted $250 million of inflows.
You think that? I mean, I don't know how much degenerate capital there is out there. 250 million within 1 month.
1 calendar month.
No, I don't think it will.
Okay. Gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's agreement. Let's
All
see,
right.
guys. Let's
Let's
see.
see.
I laugh it doesn't even launch. I laugh they pull the application before. Then I still win, bro. Then I still win.
Oh, I see. Making the conditions now that we've shaken on it. All right.
Cool.
Okay, let's give a shout out now to our very kind brand partners.
Yeah. So if you guys are looking to buy Pengu or indeed any, I couldn't think of a better place to do it than Binance, right?
Absolutely.
So Binance is offering, if you sign up with the link down below that we've got there, we've got an exclusive offer of 20% off trading fees, discount for life, and the $600 bonus. So once you've bought your Pengu, you obviously want to secure it for life because you know it's as good as gold, and you'll want to secure it on a ledger. So you can use the Ledger Flex and Ledger Stacks. These are the best devices they got. They got these wide, big screens, clear sign-in, very safe. Yep. And we also have an offer on with Ledger, of course. If you guys buy exclusively for the Coin Bureau viewers, if you buy a Ledger using the link down below, you have a $10 gift card, which you can load the Ledger up with Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind people as well, like I've been playing around with these ledgers to set them up. We've got an unboxing video in the works. Setting these things up is so easy.
Yeah.
And that's something to always consider with hardware wallets, ledgers and many others. Like, so much work goes into making these things easy to use. So there really is no excuse not to secure your crypto on a hardware wallet, folks. Sure. It is not hard.
Yep. And then one more shout out to, of course, if you guys are looking for the premier on-chain analysts and tracking tools, this is going to be the folks over at Arkham Intelligence. And there was interesting two pieces of news that didn't come through last week that it didn't publish. Was one, for example, you can take a look at the Tornado Cash now that it's been unsanctioned. You can take a look at the address there and see what's going on. Oh, wow. Good for some tracking about what North Korean hackers are doing, what they're running through it. Mm-hmm. And then also, obviously, it's important you can track the World Liberty Financial wallet movements. Now, this is important because you can actually also set alerts. Now, you could potentially get information of, and obviously we've seen what the World Liberty Financial buys do to a coin's price, right? Mm-hmm. You can check exactly what these guys are doing on-chain, set alerts for movements, and you could potentially get that alpha quickly before the market before they get announcements, before the Twitter guys start pushing it out. So definitely consider putting alerts for the World Liberty Financial address.
Absolutely.
And of course, if you guys are based in the US or indeed anywhere, but especially if you're in the US and you're looking for an altcoin exchange, Arkham is now live in many US states. And we also have a offer for you guys, 50% off trading fees for the first month for the Arkham exchange recently launched. So that will also be down below.
Excellent. Thank you very much to our great brand partners, Binance, Ledger, and Arkham. Yeah, that's an interesting point you make about being able to track this stuff as well. I was talking to some crypto people at the weekend, and like we were all agreed, like Arkham is just one of those tabs that you just have open on your dashboard. Yep. Okay, let's now have a look at the top performing cryptos from last week, the top gainers. So as always, now this is an interesting one to start with. It's an interesting list. SPX 6900.
Yeah, that's Murad's one.
Murad's meme coin. One of Murad's many meme coins.
Many meme coins. The one is most of his net worth is in. This is interesting, and their Twitter has also been taken down, right?
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Which I don't know. This is because I went on. I saw that it was the top gainer. I went to do a bit of digging to see, if there was any particular reason. I couldn't find any particular reason, but their account's been suspended. What's going on?
But generally, if an account has been suspended, it would be bearish for the token. It's crazy. So they're the top gainer. So resilience there. The SPX 6900 community is strong.
Nothing stops them, it seems. Okay, so next up we have another meme coin. It's Bonk.
Yeah, there we go.
Again, I couldn't find any obvious catalyst for why Bonk is pumping, but it seems to be meme coins in general seem to be having a pretty decent week.
Zara's surprised, happy there in the back. Our videographer producer is a Bonk holder. Yeah, so there we go.
No, well, I thought she'd turned up in quite a fancy car this morning. Okay, next up, we have Hyperliquid. Hype is back.
Yeah, it's done quite well recently in general. And I think this could be around the staking tiers recently announced. There's more utility for Hype in theory with these staking tiers. And then there's also the potentially Hyperliquid whale created a lot of publicity for Hyperliquid itself.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I remember thinking that when I first started reading about it last week and it all happening. I was like, is there such a thing as, no publicity is bad publicity?
It's true. I mean, he's trading there on Hyperliquid, right? You know, he's taking big risk on Hyperliquid. So yeah,
maybe people flocking there to the platform to see if they can pull the same trick.
They're thinking that there's some savant trader who's probably at a Wall Street hedge fund who's going and making these high risk moves, and he's using some arbitrage models, and meanwhile it's just
it's just some basement dwelling scammer from Sussex. Oh dear. Okay, next up on the top gainers from last week. I must admit, I don't know an awful lot about this one. It sort of swam up into my consciousness last week or the week before. This is FOR. That's its kind of logo. Obviously, we all know where that famously comes from. The ticker is FORM. This used to be known as Binary X, and it's now a GameFi platform. Again, I can't really find a particular reason why it's pumping. It seems to have a pretty active community.
Is this in Base or something? This is not Base, sorry, BNB? Or?
BNB, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So it's easy.
Yeah. So that is FOR. And then the final top gainer is Sonic, or S. Now, this is featured before. As far as I can tell, the main reason why S is pumping, other than just sort of general excitement around the ecosystem still, I know Andre Cronje has been doing a lot of interviews, but we now have native USDC coming to Sonic.
That'd be interesting,
Yeah. And obviously, for any L1 chain to really thrive, it needs stablecoin liquidity.
Yeah, exactly. So and for DeFi to be flourish on it as well. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I think Sonic very much has a sort of DeFi focus, doesn't it? So needs that native stablecoin. Okay, let's have a look now at some tweets of the week. Nick, who do we have first up?
We have Kit. So this is the guy who first joined Discord 3 weeks ago and has said GM 19 times, would like to know how much of the free money he is getting for valuable contributions to the community. GM, guys, GM. GM, guys. When airdrop, when token, when airdrop.
I did enjoy this one. This is the problem with the whole sort of airdrop thing, isn't it? It's like there's so much of this kind of farming going on. It's like, how do you? It's a so far unsolved question. How do you make these things worthwhile?
Yeah. Why did he who committed $10 million of liquidity get more? My GMs were worth more than that. my GMs are worth something to you guys. I was part of the community. Yet you go and skip
19 times.
19 times, guys. Like, you know how much time that took.
Okay, great one from KP there. All right, next up we have this one. So February, Saylor buys 20,356 BTC for almost $2 billion. March, Saylor buys 130 BTC for $10 million. This was it. Was this from the inauguration? Maybe it was Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Why was he making that face at Jimmy Carter's funeral?
Who knows? Who knows?
That's weird, no?
Yeah.
Was he surprised Jimmy Carter was dead?
Maybe. I mean, it's a great picture. So that's just how quickly things can change, how quickly the mood changes. All right, what have we got next? Oh yes, right. Intern says, have never seen crypto Twitter collectively come together so strongly over something as the Solana video. We haven't talked about the
Solana video. Yeah, I mean, I think collectively everyone, it was cringy. It's not about a political statement. It was just silly. It wasn't that funny. And it's like, no one cares about what political slant your blockchain is. It shouldn't be left. It shouldn't be right. It's like, is your blockchain, do people want to build on it because, it's fast, performant, and there's developer tools for it?
Yeah.
Not like what political slant it is. Either left or right.
There's enough politics in crypto as there is. We don't need any more, and we certainly don't need it on the blockchain. I think you said earlier there was a real whiff of I believe in the current thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like I say the current thing, and to be honest, it's massive backlash against left-wing politics, which, okay, fine, you may have a view in that. That's great. But it's like, you wouldn't be saying that if the whole world was left right now, right?
Yeah.
You know,
On to a large extent, and I think this is why we selected this tweet as one of the ones of the week. I think this is largely true. I think people were generally united in disdain for this Solana ad, and of course they took it down fairly quickly. They read the room. They read it a bit too late.
Yeah, I mean, and people say, "Oh, I agree with this, the message." Yeah, that's not the point. The point is, yeah, you can agree with the message, right? You can have your view around politics, whatever it is, and the current cultural war. But it's just this is crypto, right? Like this is a blockchain. Like let's just try and crypto's supposed to be apolitical. I know it's been hijacked by which party, whichever way. Let's try and keep it as apolitical as possible.
Amen. Okay, next tweet of the week comes from the inestimable Gwart. There are 58 million millionaires in the world. There are only 21 million BTC. Stop me if you've heard this before. Not every millionaire will be able to own one whole BTC. True. There are less than 500 Siberian tigers in the world. Not every millionaire will be able to own a whole Siberian tiger.
This is true. You can't fault that logic, man. You can't. It's the real gold standard. A Siberian tiger. Put it in cold storage.
Absolutely. And I tell you, as the proud owner of one Siberian tiger myself, I can tell you, you do not want to try and fractionalize that.
You can't. Yeah,
it is impossible. So it's one whole Siberian tiger or nothing.
There we go. Only 500 left, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So good on Gwart for putting that in his trade journal. And then we also have, as a tweet of the week, Caitlyn Jenner's back.
She's back. She's moving to base, guys. She hated that Solana shade so much. She's gone to base. And based no longer based because Caitlyn Jenner. No, I'm joking. But yeah, what happened to Jenner, the meme coin, by the way? Is that?
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, Nick, but I can take a guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I imagine
guess it's
Caitlyn
not doing
Jenner's
well.
coin went.
Yeah, I wonder if this tweet was really her, or that guy that made the coin for her, Sahil.
Oh yeah,
Sahil, the one that made all these celebrity rugs. Could have been him that was doing that tweet.
Yeah. Please, celebrities, just leave crypto alone. Just don't. Okay.
Please, we have been through enough. We've been through enough meme coins.
We don't need you. In fact, we don't want you. All right, let's have a look at some coins to watch this week. There are a few.
There's three on the menu.
Three
on the menu. So one is today is Berachain, obviously. Their proof of liquidity launch is going live. So obviously proof of liquidity is this new novel consensus mechanism which tries to encourage liquidity provide node validators to also provide liquidity. So that's going live today. And new vaults start getting those emissions.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
So this whole obviously Berachain's thing image wise is they're all bears, and Smokey the chief, the Berachain chief, he wears a bear's hat in public and all this sort of stuff, and that's their brand. I see kind of quite a lot of this at the moment. Movement, they've got a whole load of cute animals running around as their thing. Sonic has some. It's supposed to be a hedgehog because obviously Sonic, but it just looks like someone's Andre Cronje's fever dream. Like some cutesy animal running around, and am I just being an old fart and thinking this whole animal thing is getting a bit silly?
Can you imagine you go to like a Berachain meetup, like you actually there's a Berachain meetup in a bar somewhere or at a pub, and then you just accidentally walk into a Berachain meetup and everyone's in like a bear mask or something or a bear, and you think to yourself, what's going on? Did I walk into a furry convention?
Exactly. It's weird. Like, yeah, there seems to be this. Obviously, I guess you've got the kind of animal meta from meme coins and things like that, but it now seems to be bleeding over into actual crypto projects, that non-meme crypto projects, and suddenly like everything, like the adverts for these things or any sort of announcement on Twitter comes with a sort of animated video of some cute sort of hard to identify animals just kind of bimbling around being dicks, and it's like, what is this all about? People aren't going to take this seriously. This is stupid.
This is such a cool rant. We just got to clip this. So we're going to share it on crypto Twitter. Old man screams at furry animal mascot of a crypto project.
Dinosaur fails to realize he's about to go extinct. Yeah. I don't know. Just ignore me. I'm just being an old reactionary. But it's I don't know. Okay, let's move on.
Moving on to a coin that doesn't have an animal mascot. It's Nillion. So this is Null. This is a project which we've invested in as well prior. They're listing on Gate.io and KuCoin. This is the private blockchain null message compute. Really interesting project. Let's see if we can get out the gates in this relatively soft market conditions.
Yeah. Tough time to be listing,
Yeah.
but very, very interesting project. And I know a lot of people are talking about that on crypto Twitter and elsewhere.
I've got some bad news for you, mate.
What's that?
The next coin to watch is another animal.
Oh, God. See, this is exactly what I mean. Like, okay, this one is named after an animal, so I guess it makes sense to have. But does it could you not? I don't know.
It's a cool walrus, bro. It's a cool walrus.
It's a cool walrus.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Look, I'm just past it. I'm out of my time. Okay, but yeah. So this is the decentralized storage protocol that is built on top of Sui. Their mainnet launch is on Thursday, on the 27th.
Yeah. Exactly.
Again, a lot of people very excited about this. Not sure what exchanges are going to be listing Wall or Wow. But definitely an interesting project to watch there. Lots happening in the Sui ecosystem. Okay, Nick, dates for the diary.
Dates for the diary. So 27th of March, which is on Thursday, we have got Paul Atkins' confirmation hearing. So this is really interesting. Obviously, this is the nominee for the chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission. It could be quite a contentious, hearing. So we'll see. Are you going to be watching that hearing go live?
Obviously.
You will not be missing that, right?
Obviously.
Nothing is more exciting than watching a hearing live, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll have that on. Well, I'll have that on one screen, and I'll also have on the other screen, because on the same day, 27th of March, the initial jobless claims.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, killing two birds with one stone. Exactly. You got to be trading the initial jobless claims. You need to also be keeping on top of what's going on with Paul Atkins' nomination.
Exactly.
The initial jobless claims 226K is expected versus 223K, which was the previous number. So that's an important point to watch for job growth. And then finally, on the 28th of March, as we said, we have the PCE numbers, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which is the Fed's preferred inflation measure. 2.5% previous, 2.5% expected. So that's one that everyone's watching because that will obviously help inform Fed's decisions.
Okay, so yes, some big announcements as always coming up this week. All right, shall we have a look at what people have been saying in the comments?
Exactly.
Should we brave that?
Well, first of all, has anyone guessed?
Yes,
what
we
is
did
different
have a few
about
guesses.
Did we have a few guesses?
have a few correct guesses, which I didn't star, but well done to everyone who guessed that I have gone.
There we go, bro.
I have gone for shorts. As well. There we are.
He's joined the short. He's joined the short crew,
I've
bro.
joined the short brigade.
There we go.
Fortunately, I haven't taken the word short quite as literally as Nick has. Mine go a little further.
No,
down.
man, it's mine. I just can't help it, man. It's just like these pants are always.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot here in Dubai. The trousers, I'm
here.
afraid, are going to have to go away for another year. J. Scott Cromie has a big question. Why is Do Kwon not on that wall of shame? Well, J. Scott Cromie, the reason he's not is because he hasn't popped up as a villain of a particular week. Obviously, he is a big crypto villain. I'm sure he will make his way on there at some point. And as soon as he does pop up one week, then we will add him to the all-time.
I think when he does his interview with Tucker Carlson from the MDC.
There we are. So watch this space. Don't worry. Do Kwon will find where he rightfully belongs. Dre5110 says, sorry, I'm late on parade today. Dre, it's okay. It's okay. We forgive you. Now, Pazzi has a good point here. There must be a better form for mass adoption than launching ETF for every single coin.
Well, of course, yes, there is.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Because again, these are just investment vehicles. They don't actually move on the utility of this particular coin. It's just another way for people to speculate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kerry Carrigan says we should have bet a piece of burnt toast. I mean, there's plenty of it kicking around, so it's not exactly, it's very easily manufactured here with Coin Bureau's crappy toaster.
Oh, no, I would not touch that burnt toast. I mean, really? It's got to be an asset that we value, like with your burnt piece of toast, bro.
I tell you what, at some point, I'm going to buy the most top-of-the-range high-spec toaster for this office. Maybe
You'll
when
still,
Bitcoin,
guy, knowing you, you'll still find a way to set fire to this place. You'll
maybe
still
when Bitcoin hits 250K, I'll buy a sort of space toaster.
supercharge
or whatever
the firestorm that emerges, basically. You know.
So Justin, I think, is saying something in South African. Does that make any
Nick,
sense
julle
to you?
weet nie wat ons weet nie. That's the line from Trikus du Plessis. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. Does it mean is it NSF?
They don't know what we know. Yeah.
Oh, they don't know what we
Yeah,
know.
no, exactly. Yeah, it's an insider Afrikaans thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it again. Say it.
No, I won't insult South Africans any further. Dirty Dan, thank you, Dirty Dan. Guy might be onto something. A lot of furry crypto bros. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is true. Yes.
I think he's got one as his profile.
No, that's Goblin Town NFT, I think.
Is that a Goblin Town?
Yeah,
NFT?
yeah.
Okay. Well, there you
go.
are. All right. JC for life. I'm afraid we're getting scolded, Nick. Wear nice Coin Bureau themed retro mechanic style shirts instead of those sloppy unprof t-shirts.
What's unprof about our bro? It's just a white
t-shirt.
I'm in a great come on.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, where's
Nice retro mechanics. What's retro mechanic style? What's a mechanic style?
I'm not sure.
Has it got smudges on it because that's a mechanic style? Huh?
Yeah. Maybe it's our merch store. It's our merch store person's alt account. Apologies. Okay. I think and default settings says dualet toaster for the win. Okay.
Dualet.
Yeah.
Dualet. Okay.
Hey,
cool.
It must be a bear market. We're reduced to shilling toasters.
Massive utility on that toaster. Massive utility with that toaster, man. Go and dip a deep dive. We're gonna go and start doing videos on toaster reviews.
Gotta have a backup, folks. Gotta have a backup. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. That's quite enough for 1 week. I think we're all agreed.
Yeah.
We will be back next week. Plenty more content coming your way. See you again soon.
See you guys. Cheers.
Definitely Mike Tyson's fave coin is the only one he can say. I'm thinking the fool, they are taking the piss. I need to do a bit now. I won't be able to unsee this. No, the strange little rouse and low.
Seven.
8.
Oh, eight.
Do you know how to play this?
No, I thought you knew.
I don't know.
But I thought you were going to teach me. What's the point of playing this game?
I don't know how to play backgammon.
It's okay. So what are we going to do now? Just throw dice and whoever gets the highest number?
Yeah,
Best
all right.
of 3? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
okay.
You
Best
go.
of 3.
You go
So
first.
highest number. 10.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
One more for the win.